Guys, ready? We're going to go ahead and get started. And we are going to record this, so for everybody who isn't available to attend it live, we are going to send it out to everybody who has registered. I think we do have about 50 people who have registered for this event, and so we're really excited for everybody who's watching it, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it recorded. So wherever you are, we want to say welcome. Welcome from Troy University, from the International Admissions team, and welcome from the College of Health and Services. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to introduce myself. Many of you have received emails from me. My name is Claire Humphrey. Some of you received emails from Nancy Claire, but I promise I'm one person. I don't have a twin on campus. I go by Claire, and I cover the territories of Asia, Africa, and Oceania, minus India. We do have a counterpart who lives in India and covers that recruiting region of India as a whole. So if you live in India and you want to talk to somebody on the phone in your country or meet her once COVID lockdowns are lifted, she's happy to meet you in country or talk to you on the phone there. Her name is Anadita Halder. Unfortunately, just because of the time difference, she wasn't able to join us today. But if you are in India, she is happy to talk to you anytime. Leo?
Hi, everyone. My name is Leandro Sluder. I go by Leo usually, and I'm also an international recruiter, and my main regions are the Americas. There is South America, Central America, and North America, and the continent of Europe. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the presentation.
So we do want to welcome everybody from the College of Health and Human Services. We do have 3 speakers that we're very excited to introduce. But first of all, we do want to introduce the Dean of the College of Health and Human Services. This is Dr. Jay Gardner, and he does have a message he wants to introduce today for the college. He couldn't join us live, but we've recorded a video, so we'll start with him.
See, because I don't think it'll place the sound. 1 minute.
We're going to make sure the sound's going to play so you can hear him.
Yeah. Okay, should play it.
Hello, my name is Jay Garner. I currently serve as the Dean for the College of Health and Human Services. Welcome. We are happy to have you and your interest in our programs. Later you will hear from 3 of our faculty members in our schools and departments within the college. Our School of Nursing, our School of Social Work and Human Services, and then our Department of Kinesiology and Health Promotion. All 3 of those programs are wonderful. We have great faculty, a great student interaction, and an opportunity to succeed in whatever you choose. So thank you for your interest in Troy University and the College of Health and Human Services. We look forward to hearing from you more.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Gardner.
Hello.
Okay.
So like Dr. Gardner said, we do want to welcome you to the College of Health and Human Services. We do want to introduce our speakers, but first we do want to tell you a little bit about the college and what it stands for.
Yes. Okay, so the mission of the College of Health and Human Services is to provide quality academic programs in the health and human services disciplines, which are designed to prepare graduates who can function in an evolving community-based health and social service delivery system consistent with professional standards. And you're going to see this reflected in the words of our speakers today.
So we have the pleasure to introduce 3 great speakers, which I'm happy to hear from today. We've had the pleasure of kind of communicating with them for the last couple of weeks, and so I'm really excited to introduce them. From the School of Nursing, we have Dr. Brittany Armstrong. From the School of Social Work and Human Services, we have Professor Stacy Harrell. And from the Department of Kinesiology and Human Health Promotion, we have Dr. Brandon Sluder. So we're going to start with their presentations. If you have any questions, please pop them in the chat. We will have a live question and answer time at the end of this. If you are watching this afterwards, like if you're watching the recorded session, please email us your questions. We will distribute them to whoever the question is intended for, and we'll make sure you have that answer, that question answered, because we know that your questions are, we value your questions. We want to make sure that those are answered for you.
So now for the School of Nursing, we have Dr. Armstrong. Dr. Armstrong, you have the floor.
Good morning. We are excited that you all chose to join us today for this webinar on our programs that we have to offer at Troy University. I will be speaking about the BSN program, which is our undergraduate nursing program at Troy. The School of Nursing also has a graduate program, an MSN in nursing, and also a doctorate of nursing practice. So we do offer graduate level courses in addition to our pre-licensure BSN program. The goal of our program is to prepare you to work as a registered nurse in many different clinical settings. Upon graduation from our program, you are eligible to sit for the NCLEX RN, which is the National Licensure Exam. And so you will be prepared and you will be ready to sit for that and be licensed here in the States. We are approved by the Alabama Board of Nursing, and we are also an accredited program through the Accreditation Commission for Education and Nursing. These are both very important when you're looking at programs to attend. You want to make sure that your program is not only approved by their State Board of Nursing, but also hold an accreditation from one of the 3 accrediting bodies for schools of nursing. At Troy, our degree typically takes our students 4.5 years to complete. General studies, which are your academic core classes, those can usually be completed in 4 semesters. Then the BSN program, once you apply to enter the clinical sequence of the BSN program, it is 5 semesters. We do not offer clinical classes in the summer, so we encourage students during the summer to seek externships at local facilities or facilities throughout the United States to gain more experience, and then return back in the fall to continue their studies. So it is 5 semesters, fall and spring, from the time that you are admitted into the clinical sequence of the nursing program. We do have our pre-licensure program located on 2 campuses, both our Troy main campus location and also in our Dothan at our Dothan campus, which is about 45 miles from Troy. Both campuses admit every fall and spring. We do require that students have a cumulative GPA of a 2.5 on a 4.0 scale, but like all nursing programs, it's very competitive. So having that minimum GPA of a 2.5 doesn't necessarily guarantee admission into the program. We are seeing that GPA go up a little higher every semester, and we kind of average around a 3.2 GPA as our average for those students who are accepted into the clinical sequence. To be eligible, in addition to that cumulative GPA, you must have completed all of your academic prerequisites. So all of those core classes that can have been completed during those first 4 semesters of college must be completed prior to entering the program. We also require that our students complete an admission essay that will be read during that admission process. Our deadlines for applications for those students applying to enter the program during the fall, it's March 15th, and those students applying to enter in the spring or January admission would be September 15th. Our application is an all online application. It opens the month prior. So for those fall students, it would open February the 1st. And for our spring students, it would open August the 1st. We are also have just introduced a new early acceptance program for these students who excel in academics and are doing very well in their core classes. we have an early acceptance program. So for those students who have just completed their first year of academic courses, so basically your freshman year of college, if you have maintained a minimum of a 3.2 GPA with a C on all of your coursework, and you have completed your Math 1112 requirement in addition to your Chemistry 1142 with the lab, you were able to apply for early acceptance. This would mean you would apply for the program at the end of your freshman year. During your sophomore year, you would continue to take those core academic classes that are needed, and then your seat is waiting for you, and you are ready to enter the clinical sequence that for your junior year. So this just allows you to have the peace of mind that your seat is there and waiting for you when you complete those classes. Now you would have to maintain this GPA and obviously maintain the C on your coursework. Encourage those classes to be completed at Troy. But that is something that we started. We've seen many of our universities across the states introduce an early acceptance program, not only for first year students, but also for high school seniors that are applying to enter our universities across the states. Once you're in the clinical sequence, we do have some nursing specific scholarships that are available for our students that are in the clinical sequence. So I have listed a few of these here. We do also have some additional foundation scholarships. These are cash scholarships, but they are available for students to apply for this funding once they are in the clinical sequence. So once you have completed your first or second semester of the 5-semester clinical sequence, you're able to apply for these scholarships. We also have a couple of outstanding student awards that we do present each year during our honors convocation. You see here the recipient of our Sigma Theta Tau Outstanding BSN student, and we also have our Georgia Irene Gill Davis Award that was actually presented to one of our international students this year that graduated from our program in December of this past year and is now working at Duke University. So these are just a few of our scholarships and some of our honors that we are able to award to our clinical students. We do offer study abroad opportunities. These are a few of our trips that we have taken prior to COVID. We are looking forward to beginning our travels again in 2022. We actually have a study abroad being recruited for now that will be in Greece in May of 2022. But we have traveled with many of our students in the past to different areas for a 2-week-long study abroad.
Thank you so much, Dr. Armstrong. That was amazing. And I feel like I learned so much from that. And so that was awesome. I do have some questions for you at the end of this that we have had students put in for the live question and answer. They've emailed us some questions, but if you want to add anything else, I know that was the end of your presentation, but if you do have anything else you want to add before we move on to the School of Social Work and Human Services, the floor is yours.
I don't think so. I'm sure maybe some of the questions may prompt some other information.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Armstrong. We appreciate it. Now we do want to transition over to the School of Social Work and Human Services, and we want to introduce Professor Harrell. So Professor Harrell, the floor is now yours.
Sorry, had to unmute.
Okay.
All right. So, you know, a lot of times individuals get really excited because they say they want to help individuals, they want to make a difference in the world, whether it's internationally or whether it's across in the United States. And a lot of times individuals don't understand really what is social work. And I think it's important to just kind of take a pause to understand that it is a profession devoted to helping all people function the best they can in their environment. That is, so whether it's we have a bachelor's of social work, we have a master's of social work, and then we have a bachelor's in human services. And I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about all three today, but we're going to move on to what are some different types of social work, and some of the things that you'll see on this next slide are some different areas of social work, types of different jobs that you could hold, and this is for licensed social workers as well as for human service majors. You could work anywhere from, that's one of the great things about social work, is if there's a niche that you find you don't like, hey, I don't want to work on the medical side of social work or human services, I'd rather work in criminal justice reform, you have that option. And there's a lot of flexibility. I have some social workers or human service majors that will go on and do nothing but policy and planning and politics and rewrite laws and work in the legislative process to make changes from the bottom level up. So I think that's important to point out as well. Next slide. All right, we are a CSWE accredited school, and I think that's important to point out for our bachelor's program and our master's program. And this is just basically the competencies that we hold core to our heart. These are kind of the things that we start teaching our students about from day one. You know, we practice demonstrating that ethical behavior, practicing diversity. We have a professional interviewing class where we like for students to, you know, to interview international students. We're always looking for ways to recruit and promote diversity within our department. So I think that's important to point out. Next slide. The bachelor's in social work has a minimum GPA of 2.5. And these are some of the just required courses that you take. It's just kind of a general overview of what you could look at. And when we look at research, a lot of times that research begins to really scare people. And we have research involved because we're dealing with people's lives and you need to do evidence-based practice. So we teach you what is evidence-based practice. What are some of the best therapies to use with patients and families in different types of situations? So I think that's important to point out. And then we talk to you a lot about diversity and ethics and dealing with people in their environment. Where people are affected very much so by their environment, whether that's their home environment, their work environment, or their living environment. So I like to point that out. Okay, when you get into the main concentration of social work classes, this is where you kind of see, we talk about intro to social work. And I have a lot of students from a variety of different majors that choose to take it just because they're interested in the helping profession. We do teach about groups, how to work with individuals and families, organizations and communities. And then we also have a field internship site where you will actually go out in the field and practice under the supervision of your Troy supervisor, but as well as a licensed practitioner in the community. So a lot of times students get really excited about that, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about field placements in just a minute. Some of the main areas of practice, once again, these are just overall. I have seen social workers work for agencies in advertising. I've seen social workers work in mental health, hospitals, nursing homes, you name it. So these are just a few of the general big ones that we see a lot of our populations go and work with. But if you have questions about it or there's another area you're interested in, don't hesitate to ask questions. So I wanted to talk just a minute about our master's in social work program. If you have a bachelor's in social work, you can actually get your master's in 1 year at Troy University. We have that program available online as well as on campus, as well as some of our distance education sites. But if you are a non-social work major, meaning I've got my bachelor's degree in human services, but I want to go on and get my master's, this is what the 1 year, this is kind of what the program looks like as far as classes. There is a practicum based to this where you complete, just like the bachelor's level social workers do a 400-hour internship. You have 400 hours of service learning that you do in the field at an agency, boots on the ground, making a difference every day. So I think that's important to point out. And then I think also moving forward at the one-year practice, the next slide, we see where it is just more concentrated. This is where we talk a lot about assessment and pathology. We talk a lot about how do you conduct groups, how do you facilitate groups, how do you handle difficult individuals. We are living in a day and time where it can just be tough sometimes. And so we practice that in the classroom as well as outside of the classroom. We do allow for you to pick a couple of electives that are offered during that program. And then you also do another 510 internship hours where you're still in school, but you're getting direct practice experience. So a lot of students use this opportunity as an opportunity to go and practice and say, hey, I might want to work with kids. But then when you go out in the field and you start working with kids, you're like, whoo, no, this is not the population for me. So it just gives them a diversity and a chance to try something out that they may want to experience later in life without actually having a job. But a lot of times our internships do turn into jobs. We also have a specialization for our master's program online, and that's the organizational leadership management, especially for social workers who know they might go into a leadership type role. It is very similar. They just teach a lot more on policy analysis, program design, how to build nonprofits, for-profits, those type things. And you still have that learning opportunity of 510 field hours. So I think that's important. All right, so at Troy University, one of the great things that I love about this university, and I can say because I graduated from here, is we believe in the freedom of choice in all of your field opportunities. Some of our competitors like to tell students exactly where they have to go for their field placement, and we don't do that. We as instructors, we as professors, we guide you, we give you a list of resources. I've had some students that, they might live in Alabama, but end up doing an internship in California. We're going to promote you, support you, and encourage that. If you're interested in working in one area, or maybe I want to come to school here for a little while, but then I want to do my internship back home, we will work with you on that process so that it can be a seamless transition, because a lot of times students find that their internship opportunities will turn into jobs. Next slide. So human services, there is a lot of overlap between human services and social work. The main difference between the two is with a bachelor's in social work or a master's in social work, you are license eligible in the states. So I think that's important to point out. And a lot of times, if you get licensed in one state, you'll be able to take that license with you in many other states as well as across abroad. So I think that's important to point out. All right, so this is the other big one. I get a lot of times, well, what can I do with my degree in human services? They have all different types of titles, but it is more of a support type role. So these are just some of the careers when I have students that say, well, what type of jobs do I need to start looking for? These are some of the main titles that you see people in the human service field actually practice. And then this is what our program requires. You'll see it is very, very similar to social work. We have some social work majors that start out in social work, switch to human services, and vice versa, because they just decide, hey, I want to take a different route. Or, or they just get in it and they love it and say, hey, this is where I want to be. Our human service major does have a case management minor. So if you're interested in working in the medical setting, on this next slide, you'll see where we teach a lot about crisis intervention, medical terminology, and just what are some fundamentals of case management. Especially, we've seen a huge increase since COVID occurred with individuals working from their home, working remotely, and a lot of it has been case management type work. So this is a field that has really grown tremendously over the last several years. As far as what can you do at Troy University, we have some great organizations here within our department. As far as making connections, we have Sigma Alpha Sigma, we have Phi Alpha, and Chi Upsilon, and they are just some of our honor society within our department where you can get involved. And these are just some of our great students that we had recently pinned and celebrated. We have lots of scholarship opportunities. And then as far as internship opportunities, just realize we're going to work with you wherever you go. And then I wanted to, on this last slide, I wanted to include all of our program directors. They wanted to be here with you today, but could not. And so, you know, we believe in working together as a department. And so I am here cheering for you, and I am always available if you have questions, but the rest of my colleagues are more than welcome to answer your questions as well. So if you think of anything, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Professor Harrell. We really appreciate that. And like I said to Dr. Armstrong, we do have some questions that were emailed, and I know that students always have questions after they view this. So we'll be sending you some questions, but we do have some questions during the question and answer time. So we are going to move on to Dr. Sluder with the Department of Kinesiology. And so Dr. Sluder, the floor is now yours.
Hey guys, welcome. Let me start by saying we are very excited at the potential of having you guys come into our department. I am, like she was saying, I'm Dr. Sluder. I'm serving currently as the department chair and graduate program coordinator, and I'm also a professor of physical education, health education, in terms of my specialty area background. What is kinesiology? Kinesiology is the study of human movement, and we kind of straddle the fence on science and art a little bit, because we kind of serve, we kind of run the gamut in terms of human movement, everything from the sciences, laboratory, all the way to teaching and education. So we kind of have a lot going on, and in our next slide we'll talk about the different programs and kind of what they offer. And this is going to be a long slide, so bear with me here. We have quite a few programs, and within these programs we offer different concentrations as well, and we've recently moved programs to online, and we have some blended programs. So we've had a lot of changes and stuff going on the last couple of years. That's very exciting, and they make it better for our students in terms of availability and access and things of that nature. So we offer 3 undergraduate degrees currently, and we also offer 3 master's degrees currently. So the undergraduate degrees that we offer are in physical education, exercise science, and health promotion. I'll start with the physical education degree at the bachelor's level. A lot of our students that want to teach physical education out in the school setting. So we certify from P through 12. That means preschool all the way through 12th grade. Our program will get you certified to teach physical education out in the schools in the P through 12 setting. And a lot of our physical educators not only teach physical education in the school systems, they also coach when they get in the school systems as well. So they'll coach some team sports and individual sports if they so choose in the schools. The next is exercise science, and exercise science has several different tracked areas. At the bachelor's level, we have pre-health nutrition, wellness, and fitness. And we have students that kind of run the gamut. This is a lot of times this is a foundation degree that sets them up to go on to graduate school in other areas. We have a bunch of students that go on to get their physical therapy degree, professional degrees, or occupational therapy degrees. We have some that go on to get their PhD and eventually teach at the university level. We have a lot that go into the strength and conditioning realm and get their certified strength and conditioning specialist degree, and go on to be strength coaches in the grade school level or collegiate level or professional ranks. And then we have some that go into the wellness tracks, and they end up in fitness centers and other places associated around the country and the world. So that's exercise science. Our third degree, and both of those, by the way, are campus degrees. There are some blended courses that they can take online as well. Our last but not least undergraduate degree is health promotion, which is offered 100% online as well. And this sets those up to get their CHHS certification, and so they can work more in the teaching setting outside of education. Moving to the graduate degrees, we offer 3 graduate degrees. We have, and we're very excited about these. I'm most excited because I'm also serving as the graduate program coordinator. So if you do come to graduate school here at Troy in kinesiology, you'll have me to talk to when you first come in. But the graduate degrees, we have a Master of Science in Kinesiology, and it has 2 tracked offerings. One is coaching, and one is exercise science. The MS in coaching is offered 100% online, and it can be actually completed in 1 year, 1 calendar year. And we have a lot of students that are currently teaching and coaching out in the schools with undergraduate degrees in physical education that want to get that master's degree to continue coaching. And then we have a lot of sport coaches at the collegiate level that don't have their master's that would like to get it. So we've actually had, since we started that degree online, we've now had already 3 students started up that are currently coaches, collegiate coaches, one of which at Troy University, which is really cool. The second track is exercise science. This is probably our most popular track because it kind of does a lot of things. We've had students, international students in the past, specifically from India that got their undergraduate in physical therapy and then come and get their Master of Science in Kinesiology, exercise science, and then go on to practice as physical therapists throughout the country and the world. We've also had a lot of students go in the strength conditioning route from the MS in exercise science to go on to work as strength coaches at the collegiate level, professional level, and the high school level. We also have had students go on straight to sort of boost their resume. They get their master's in XI or Kines XI to go on to PT school, OT school, or get their PhD to be college faculty. Last but not least, and this is new. And by the way, the MS Kinesiology Exercise Science is a blended program offered mostly on campus, but some classes are online as well. The athletic training master's degree is our final one I was going to talk about. Well, second to final, I guess. But it is new. It recently moved from the undergraduate level to the master's level, and it is 100% on campus degree, and it prepares the students obviously to go out into the sports medicine field and athletic training. What's interesting is that the sports medicine field is growing tremendously. It is branching out. It used to be that if you were an athletic trainer, you were in sports medicine, you served at the high school ranks or the collegiate ranks or professional ranks as a sports medicine caregiver, at sporting events and through practices and day to day. Now we're actually getting completely diversified. We're moving into military PT training. So our students graduating with athletic training are moving into all areas of life: hospital, military, you name it. It's almost too much to name. It's a laundry list of places where they're desiring athletic trainers that are people that are trained in sports medicine to detect sports and exercise related injury. So they're sort of branching from just sport to exercise in general and physical activity in general throughout, I guess, everywhere in life, to be honest with you. The last master's degree we offer, and we sort of share this with the College of Education, is the Master's of Science degree in physical education. We have 2 tracks for that. One track is traditional physical education masters, which are for those who already carry a undergraduate teaching certification, and it gets them their master's pay increase if they get their traditional master's degree. The second one is called the alternative, the MS-PE alternative degree, and that's for those who started out in a different major, but they decided that they would like to, they really want to teach physical education. So it allows them to come in, take their courses, do their student teaching, and get certified at the master's level in an alternative degree versus the traditional route going with the undergraduate. Okay. We are fully accredited. We have quite a few accreditations and people in organizations we're associated with and certified through. Kate is our athletic training certification. The entire department is a part of the American Kinesiology Association, as well as, we had too many to name on here, but we've got SHAPE, Society of Health Physical Educators. We have NSCA, National Strength Conditioning Association. We have quite a few. We have the NCATE accreditation for our education, teacher education areas in physical education, health education. And we have active research labs. We have applied physiology lab and applied biomechanics laboratory. That is state of the art, and we have some very excited faculty member, energetic, that are doing some great things in research. Everything from blood flow restriction research to injury rehabilitation, sport injury rehabilitation, supplements, you name it. Ergonomics in terms of footwear and biomechanics and carrying golf bags and all kind of different really cool stuff. And I think in the next slide we can see a picture of sort of the labs and our students in action a little bit. And I do apologize. I forgot to put on our email for contact. So please, if you're interested in our program, it is KHP, 3 letters, KHP at troy.edu. So that is our general email, and that email comes to me. And if you're interested in anything I talked about or have any questions, send that directly to me at khp at troy.edu. And I will get that out to the pertinent faculty member or program coordinator, and we'll get you all the information you want. We had way too much information to put on this short presentation, so I didn't want to bombard you with that. But like I said, we're very excited at the possibility of having you guys as students in our program, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sluder. We appreciate that. And I'm telling you, every time I do these presentations, I feel like by the end of it, I want to apply to all these programs because they're so interesting. So I'm very intrigued as a recruiter, and I know these students are always going to be even more intrigued because they're actually interested in these programs, whereas I just recruit for them. So I'm so grateful for you to present on that. But we're going to go over the application process just for students who are either in the application process or interested in applying. So just quickly, we're going to go over that, and then we're going to go into our question and answer time. I think there's a couple like questions in the chat, so we want to answer those as well as the ones that have been submitted via email. So just quickly, if you are either thinking about applying, if you put in an inquiry, or this is the first time you're hearing about Troy, if you're interested in applying, the first step is always to start an application at enroll.troy.edu. It'll ask you to set up your profile as well as create an application. Make sure that you submit it. It's a $50 application fee, whether you're undergraduate or graduate, as well as submit your admission documents to your assigned recruiter. So again, if you're in Asia, Africa, Oceania, submit to me. If you're in Central South America, any part of the United States, Canada, Europe, submit to Leo. If you're in India, submit it to Anandita. And we'll have our contact information up at the end of this presentation. Once you have an admission decision, we'll send your admission packet to you via email. You can also choose to have that mailed to you if you want that hard copy in hand. You need to make sure that once you have your admission packet, if you're taking on-campus classes, you have to go through the visa process. So you have to pay your I-901 fee and do the whole visa interview. If you're taking online classes, we'll send you your contact for your advisor so you can get registered for online classes. If you are coming to on-campus classes, again, once you get your visa, you can apply for student housing and go through your orientation process, and we'll see you on campus. But if you have any questions about that along the way, again, reach out to us. But we are going to go through our questions that we've received via email as well as in the chat. I think let's answer the chat ones first.
Okay.
Dr. Sluder, if you don't mind writing your email in the chat, just so we have that. I think it was on one of the slides, but if you'll write it in the chat as well. And then one of our questions that we have in the chat, it asks about, you want to study public health. James, do you mind letting us know, and you can write it in chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, will you tell us if you're interested in studying graduate public health or undergraduate? We don't have an undergraduate public health, but there's things that are related to public health for the undergraduate. For our graduate program, there's a master's of public administration that focuses on public health. And there's a lot of things in public health that the Department of College and Health and Human Services focuses on in public health. So if you'll clarify a little bit of what you want to study, we can answer that more specifically. So while you're writing that out, or if you'll raise your hand, we'll unmute you. But while you're answering that, we're going to answer ask some of these questions that were emailed to us. We were asked, if you get a license in social work or nursing through Troy, is it transferable internationally? So Dr. Armstrong and Professor Harrell, if you don't mind answering that.
I think Professor Harrell partially answered that during her presentation, but
you're right.
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
right.
Yes, when you become licensed, the student sits for the NCLEX RN exam in the United States, they have to choose a state in which to become licensed. And just because they went to Troy University, which is in Alabama, they can license in any state.
Okay.
Once they've been licensed in the states, then they are able to take that internationally.
So
Depending on the country they go to, just as it is when they come into the United States, they may have to take a proficiency exam of some type of licensure exam in that country, but they can show proof.
Okay, perfect.
And it's the very same way for social work. You get licensed in the state first in the United States, and then you can apply for licensure in whatever country, or a lot of countries don't even have licenses. So it's really good if you can get licensed in the United States. They most definitely will take your license by reciprocity.
right.
Awesome.
Yeah. So this student James, he said he's interested in studying an undergraduate program in a public health related degree. So I'm just gonna let the speakers, maybe one of you can recommend him one of your programs to apply to.
As far as undergraduate public health, he could do that with a bachelor's in human services, or he could do that with a bachelor's in social work. It just depends on what he's wanting to do in public health. But if he's wanting to work in public health departments or with the public health department or national organizations, that would be a really good avenue to get your foot in the door as far as undergraduate. And both of those programs are available online as well as on campus.
So,
Thank you very
awesome.
much.
Thank you. That was another one of my questions. I think now because of COVID, a lot of students, they're still on lockdown. Countries are having a second wave of COVID. So Professor Harrell, you did answer that a lot of your programs are offered online. If a student wants to start online and then transition to on campus, the other speakers, if you would like to offer an answer to that, is it possible to start a lot of the core classes and then transfer it on campus, or take the whole program in its entirety online?
For nursing, for our pre-licensure nursing program, it is a live program. Now they are able to complete the majority of their core classes, their academic classes online. The only ones that do require them to be on campus is their science classes. They do have to complete the labs and the classes on campus, along with all of the clinical courses within the nursing program.
Perfect, thank you. Dr. Sluder, would you like to answer that? A lot of your programs, I know you said some of them are offered online. Is it possible to transition to on campus for the ones that are offered on campus? Or is it just particularly the ones that are on campus are only offered on campus?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question again? I want to make sure I answer it correctly.
Well, a lot of our students are facing the problem where they can't get here, they can't get visas to get to on campus because of COVID. So if they are admitted to your program and it's a program that's offered strictly online or on campus, could they start particularly their core classes and transfer to on campus once their lockdown is lifted?
Yes, that's a possibility. Like for instance, if you take our master's level courses, our master's programs, we have the Master of Science in Kinesiology with 2 tracks, coaching and then exercise science. The coaching is 100% online, and then the exercise science track is blended. So there are courses that you have to take online in the exercise science concentration. So what we could do is we could have the person come in, if they wanted to come in under coaching or either exercise science, take some courses like you mentioned, the ones that are online, go ahead and take those before they can get over here to finish up on campus. So I guess the best way to answer it, it depends on the major or on the program, but there is avenues to try to make it work, and we'll definitely try to make it work.
Perfect.
And yeah, when it comes to the online classes they have to take for the exercise science program. So international students, they have like some visa restrictions when it comes to online classes, and they have to take a number of classes on campus in order to remain in the States with like a valid visa. Do you know how many online classes they have to take for the exercise science program?
I know after talking to Maria, I know with exercise science, they were allowed to take I believe one course per semester. So it was 9 hours in the traditional setup of the program. It was 9 hours fall and spring. 3 of the 9 hours each semester could be online.
Yeah.
So
that's something you guys can offer?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Perfect.
We have some follow-up here.
All right.
You want to?
So yeah, we will take that follow-up. Leo, do you
Yeah.
want to go ahead?
So the student who asked for your email address, well, he mentioned that he wants to get a master's in healthcare, and so well, I know we don't have a master's in healthcare per se, but
like, is there a
yes.
So master's in health, I guess. Promotion? I mean, like, we don't offer necessarily that. So I'm not sure, Azara, if you want to expand on what you want to say, because we don't offer a master's in healthcare. So maybe expand on that. The letters of recommendation they're asking how many letters of recommendation that they would need. So depending on what specific program that you want to study, and we can put in the chat the link to the programs that they offer under the College of Health and Human Services, because these speakers have discussed a lot of programs that they offer under this this college, but they do offer a lot more. You guys offer a lot more than what we've covered today, and each department or each program requires a different amount of recommendations, a different amount of required documents per program. I think the Masters of Social Work, Professor Harrell, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, you require 3 letters of recommendation, is that correct, for the Masters of Social Work? I think a statement of purpose, and so and I think kinesiology, I think you just require 1 or 2. Is that correct, Professor Dr. Sluder?
She's answering the chat. Yeah, it is usually between 1 and 3 letters of recommendation.
So just depending on what your specific program is, and again, we'll put a link into the chat. We'll pull it up in just a second so you can see the programs that are specific, but we don't offer a specific healthcare master's. You would have to apply to a specific program. But we'll move on to the next question, and that's just depending on how many or which specific program you want to apply to, depending on your letters of recommendation and your other required documents.
Okay, and we have James. So James, in our previous slide, we covered the admission process briefly on 5 steps. So if you haven't applied yet, or if you have applied and your application hasn't been completed or admitted yet, I'm sure you're in between one of these steps. So you can reach out to Claire or to me or whoever your recruiter is, and I will be happy to help you with the admission process.
Yeah, and in the next couple of weeks, we are doing a webinar similar to this to go over the visa process. We've done a previously recorded one, but it doesn't really necessarily address COVID and applying for a visa in the COVID times. So we will do a visa webinar if you would like to attend that. But if you don't have your admission letter and your I-20, you can't start the visa process yet. So you need to be admitted first to apply for a visa if you're not in the United States. If you're already in the United States and you already have an I-20, it's a simpler process. Okay. While I'm reading some more of these, Leah will pull up the link to the admission or the academic programs, so you can see. It's all right, so you can see those different programs that we offer. Okay. We do have some other questions. This one I'm going to direct to Dr. Armstrong. You covered the BSN program and the admission process for that so well, but we did have a question about the ASN program, and so. You did mention with the BSN program, there wasn't direct admissions. I know that you are looking at early admissions for the BSN program, but does the ASN program have direct admissions? Can you speak to that a little?
No, they don't currently. They have their admission process is a little different than ours. The students are able to take some of the academic courses along with the nursing courses. So their admission process is a little different than the pre-licensure bachelor's degree in nursing. It is the ASN being a 2-year degree, they are able to blend some of those core classes along with the nursing program. So they can be taking core classes along with the program itself.
Okay. And that program is just offered at the Montgomery campus, is that correct?
Correct. It is only, and it's a live in class on campus program. The only classes that they would potentially be able to take online would be any of those prerequisite core classes that are offered online.
Okay, and the difference between the ASN and the BSN, time-wise,
is time and the degree. We with the BSN, we focus a lot on leadership and research, evidence-based practice, where the ASN doesn't really focus on that role. They're more of the clinical aspect, but we do ultimately sit for the same licensure exam.
Perfect. And just so everybody who's watching this, the difference between the campuses, our Montgomery and our Dothan campuses do not offer on-campus housing. They're not traditional campuses like our Troy main campus is. So if you're interested in coming to a traditional style campus with on-campus dormitories, dining facility, and a larger student body, typically on campus. Now, if you're coming to summer classes, it will be about the same, but our Troy main campus is where you want to come, whereas our Montgomery and our Dothan campus, they do not have those offerings. So just so you're aware of that when you are applying. And if you're applying to anything other than online courses, the only thing that you can only campuses that you can come to in the United States if you're seeking an F1 or a J1 visa are the Troy, Montgomery, or Dothan campuses. Even on the application, there's a lot of different things or a lot of different locations you can apply to. You can only apply to those 3 campuses. So we do have a couple other questions. You've answered a lot of the ones that were already submitted, referring to scholarships and clubs and opportunities and internships. But there was one specifically that asked about graduate assistantships. So do you offer graduate assistantships in your departments? And do you have any suggestions in applying to these? So if each one of you want to answer that, and we'll start with, I guess,
we see Dr. Armstrong.
Yeah, we see Dr. Armstrong. So if you want to start with that, and we'll move down the list.
Currently, we do not have any graduate assistantships in our graduate programs at this time. Now, that's not to say that we won't see some in the near future.
Okay, thank you. Professor Harrell?
And it's the same way within our department. Currently, we just don't have the budget and the funding for that. It may happen later on down the road. We do have a lot of work study where some students will come and work within our department, but not necessarily that graduate level. not yet at this time.
Dr. Sluder?
I have some good news. We have graduate assistantships in our department. No, but we currently have 5 graduate teaching assistantships positions, and we only have the graduate teaching assistant, so a GTA position. So you would actually be typically a GTA in our department teaches courses, physical activity courses, like jogging for fitness, aerobics, step aerobics, badminton, archery, those types of things. And that does carry a full tuition waiver for up to 6 hours per semester, and it also pays an $800 a month stipend as well. And like I said, we have 5 active graduate teaching assistantships. They're all currently full at this point, but we will have 2 openings starting fall.
Okay, perfect. All right, and do you have any suggestions on applying to those?
Yes, I do. If you want more information, email me at khp@troy.edu, and I can get you a lot more detailed information. But you would have to be enrolled and admitted, unconditionally admitted and enrolled in one of our graduate programs to be eligible. If you go in, we have an active GTA. In human resources, we have an active GTA application spot in there. And when you do go apply, you need to list that you are a current graduate student, or it will not come through human resources.
Okay.
Perfect.
Can students apply before being enrolled? Students who were admitted to Troy and they are interested, so kind of to get the process started?
Yeah. They can go ahead and apply for it and just put that they're accepted. And what I do is I also serve as the graduate program coordinator. So what I do when someone applies, if they're eligible, if they meet the eligibility requirements, I'll contact them individually to ask them where they are in their application process. And sometimes I'll reach out to, I believe it's Sarah Justice in that department now, to see where they are in the application process. And once they're fully unconditionally admitted, then we can consider their application. Perfect.
Okay, awesome. Well, I think the last question that I have, and this is the question we get every webinar from students, and I don't know if it applies to you guys, but I'm going to let you guys take the floor and answer this as you may. Are there any majors in the College of Health and Human Services that qualify for STEM? I think that's a lot of countries offer scholarships if they're STEM related majors that students can apply to. So do any of your programs qualify as STEM programs?
Would you like me to start?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, we do. I believe our exercise science undergraduate and then our master's of kinesiology and exercise science are 2 STEM programs. We've had that question before, and I think I can't remember the exact process, but they had some criteria they had to meet, and they had to get I think a program schedule from us to check to see if it did meet those requirements. And to my knowledge, it did for them. But we can always double check on that. If you have any questions or want to follow up, just email me at khp@troy.edu, and I'll be happy to get that information for you.
Perfect. Thank you. Dr. Armstrong?
Okay, maybe
Dr. Harrell.
Then you may be muted.
To be honest, we've never had that question before presented to our department, so I'm really not sure.
We've had anybody apply for STEM. I would have to do some checking to see about that.
Okay.
We have a bit of an overlap.
Yeah,
there,
thank you, Dr. Armstrong. We appreciate that. We get that question a lot, and we're not sure how to answer that for some of the departments either. So we always ask in the webinar too, because we get that question. Dr. Harrell, do you want to go ahead now?
Yes, it's the same way for us. As far as I know, we've never received this question before in the past, so I'm not really sure. It would be something that we would have to look into.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, students are particularly interested because they, international students, they get something called OPT, which is optional practical training at the end of their, whenever they finish. And with STEM programs, they usually get some extra time to continue their OPTs. You know, they have a couple more years to do that. So they're very interested in STEM programs, and that's why they ask that question a lot.
So, well, I think we're at the end of our time. If there's no more questions in the chat, that was the end of the emailed questions. But again, if you guys have any questions who are watching this recorded, please email us. We'll put our emails up at the end of this. We do have some upcoming webinars this week, actually, if you are a graduate student interested in general graduate information in about one hour, I will be live with the graduate department answering questions. And then tomorrow we will have questions about financial aid as well as international student scholarships. And then if you're interested in the Master of Public Health, or excuse me, Master of Public Administration, I've got health on my mind because I've been here with you guys all morning. So Master of Public Administration will be answering questions about that, that program on Friday. And then next month, we are featuring the College of Education with our Webinar Wednesday, and we're wrapping up this series of featuring different colleges that we have at Troy University with our College of Education, which is, we will be featuring what Dr. Sluder spoke about with our Masters of Education, as well as our Counseling Master and our Psychology program. But we hope to see you on campus soon. If you have any questions about the visa webinar, we will be sending that out as well. And we do appreciate all of our speakers who joined us today and gave up their time. We genuinely appreciate that. Every minute that you've spent with us and prep for this, we are so grateful for that. And we will be emailing you any questions that we get from students. And thank you so much again. If you guys would like to share any parting words, Professor Harrell, we'll start with you.
I just would like to say thank you for your time today. Thank you for your interest. And remember, there is no dumb question. So just because I don't know the answer doesn't mean we won't find out the answer. So if you have questions, please don't be afraid to ask us, email us, reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you.
Excuse me, Dr. Sluder, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for all you do. And we really appreciate it. Without getting out there and recruiting, we wouldn't have students. And also prospective international students, we look forward to the possibility of you coming to Troy University and being a Trojan. Thank you.
Dr. Armstrong?
Yes, I want to thank you all for inviting us this morning, and I hope if we can offer any further information, feel free to share my email address with the students that have any questions, and I'll be happy to discuss with them the opportunities that we have for them in.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again so much. And again, if you have any other questions, we will answer them via email and send them out to the respective parties. And so thank you again for joining us. It's nice to see so many of you on here that I know that we've worked with. And I know one of our students who is admitted to the social work program is here with us right now. And so we're excited to see you on there. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you.